Okay, so the long box. You've heard me talk about the long box before and about the magic that happens in here. But this shape, as you remember, happens only once in the pentatonic sequence. So it's a good landmark to find. But it also happens once in every single shape. This happens to be how it appears in the most common pentatonic shape that everyone knows. And I'm just going to use black marbles to fill out the rest of that shape. This is the one that I call the house. Usually large there. And in the house, we have the long box on strings 1 and 2. Now, as we move with the shapes to either direction, this long box will appear on a different string pair each time. And being able to locate that within each long box is going to be especially useful. And here's why. These notes have some very, very fundamental relationships. First of all, where the straight line is, let's get rid of these right now. But this is where the straight line was, right? And remember, that happens only once in a pentatonic system, where you have every note in a fret played. That note is going to be the root of the minor pentatonic. And in this case, this is an A note. So when we find this box here, we're playing 4 notes out of 5 of the minor pentatonic scale, and we've found that where the root is of the A minor pentatonic scale. All right? In this corner here, the highest note of the set, we have the root of the major pentatonic scale. So that's a C here. So that's why we say that C and A are related. C is the relative major of A minor, and A minor is the relative, and A is the relative minor of C major. And they're always in this relationship there. You can always find them in a long box and have the higher string, the corners of the higher string, with the major one being 3 frets higher than the minor. So if you're playing something in a major key, this is going to be your target note. If you're playing something in a minor key, this is going to be your target note. Very helpful. So let's see where this box appears in the other systems. So we had this full line here, and we had this bit here. Let's put that bit back in. These 3 are going to be like that, and this one is going to be in the same line as that. In fact, this is a C as well. Remember, this, whatever this note is, this is the same here. But now we're going to look at the next shape here and see if we can find where the long box is this time. Okay. So that would be the serpent, all coily in here, all right? But now the long box is no longer here. This is a short box here. So we're going to get rid of these guys now. They've served their purpose. We are now no longer in the house. We've moved over to the serpent. And we see that the long box is now here. So we're going to make these white. And we see that in the serpent, the long box is on strings 5 and 4. But the root is still the highest note. The root of the major is still the highest note here. And on the same string, there is the root of the minor. Okay. So this is the serpent. We're just going to replace this with that, so we can see where these key elements are. The root of the major, the root of the minor inside the serpent. Now, these marbles here are significant as well. Because remember that one of the most fundamental relationships in music is the movement between the 5 and the 1. So if I'm playing a C, I'm playing this C note right here. And I want to get that 5-1 movement. I can move between the C and this is a G here. And just go. Right, it's kind of a polka thing. But you get that everywhere. And if you put chords to it. 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. 5, 1. Right? And you get the same relationship with the 3/6. Right? This is the 6th of the scale. We can think of it as the 1 of the scale, of the minor scale, in which case this would be the 5/1 of the minor scale. But let's just think of it for a moment as 3/6 and realize that 3/6 works just like 5/1 does, right? Because we've got now the A minor here on the 4th string, 7th fret. 3rd fret marker, 5th fret marker, 7th fret marker. So there we are. That's an A. No, 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 no. And that's an E. That's the 5th of the A. No, 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 no. So we have that same relationship. Dum, 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 A, E, A, E, A, E, A, 5, 1. Play it as chords. 1, E7, 5, 1. Right? It's very much the same sound as going over here and playing C, G7, C. Coming down to this, A minor, E7, A minor. So to think of these as the 5th below the root of whatever chord. So if you're playing an A minor chord, this is the 5th of the A minor chord. If you're playing a C major chord, this is the 5th of the C major chord. That's going to be an important relationship, right? It really works for that alternating bass, but also for just fattening up the note. So if let's say this is going to be my final note of a piece, and I want to give it some extra resonance. Well, I can always put the fifth underneath it. So this is a C. So I'm going to end with some sort of lick with and if I want to make that C more pronounced, I'm going to throw this in at the same time. So it's so something similar. Right? So I call this the landing pad. When you have a note that you want to land on, you want to emphasize it, give it some more gravity, put its fifth underneath it. Okay, let's put the fifth of this underneath here. That's going to be an E. Okay. So also when we had this over here in the house, this was going to be the C and G. This is the same as this, and this is going to be the A and the E over here. So that relationship, we're always, when we find the long box, one of the things, and there are many things, but one of the things that makes this a really significant shape is that it shows you right away where the root note of the major scale is and where the root note of the relative minor scale is and where the fifth of each of those root notes are. Really super handy. Okay, let's see where it appears on the next shape. If we move from the serpent to the next shape, we're going to get to the cross. The cross has got almost two full lines here, but it's got this point here and this point here. So let's put that over there right now. Make the cross. First all in black marbles, and then we'll color code it according to what we see. All right, so we've got our cross. We'll take the marbles away that are not part of the cross. So here was the serpent. This line and this line made the serpent. We're going to take this line off, and then now this line, which was part of the serpent, is now going to become part of the line out of the cross, okay? So the serpent is gone, and we're left with the cross here. So this is still the same pentatonic scale all the way across. We're still working with the C major, A minor pentatonic scale. So this color coding is still correct, okay? But we don't want to code anything for right now except for where the long box is. But is there a long box here? I don't see that shape that we were talking about. Or do I? Right? It's right here. Remember, this is the warp between strings 3 and 2. If you want to maintain the same pattern between these two strings as you have with any other two adjacent strings, everything on string 2 is pushed one higher. So if we wanted to see what this would look like on any other pair of strings, we need to take the marbles on string 2, move them both back one fret, and we see, yeah, there it is. That is the long box, but it is the long box as it appears in the warp. So let's put it back correctly. And there it is. That's it. So we now know that this is going to be a C, and sure enough, that's an octave jump from this C. We now know if we move back, we're going to get to the root of the relative minor, which is A. And we know that these two notes are the fifths of each of these roots and can be used as landing things. So this must be the fifth. This is a G, and you can see that's an octave away from that G. And this is going to be an E. There we go. So now we have our long box here in the cross, so we can remember that since there's only going to be one time that the long box is going to be in this warp configuration, we can remember it happens in the cross. And we can at the same time realize that it's on, that the long box is on strings 2 and 3 in the cross. Okay, so I'm going to take this root and this fifth away so we can see just the long box inside the cross. All right. Now the cross is between the reptiles, is between the serpent and the snake. So when we move over to the snake, we're going to keep this line here of the cross, but we're going to remove all of these and build the next wall over here. So let's go take that away. This is going to bring us into the snake. And that looks like that. And there's the snake. Okay. So, where's the long box here? Ooh, nice. Bass strings. So if you want to play some really why am I confused right now? Oh yeah. Yeah, so a little hard to reach here, but remember this is the 12th fret. So I can do whatever I'm doing here, I can do that over here. In fact, let's do that right now. Let's take that C, put that over here, and this G, this is the open G string now, right? This is a 12th fret G, open string, and we'll build in the rest of this. So this is the high splice. Oh yeah, I knew there was something weird again. This is the high box, the low box, the low splice, the low splice, and the long box. So the long box is on the bass strings in the snake, which is very cool because you want to know where you can play bass lines that instantly fit the key that you're in. Okay. So there we go. That's what that looks like. So we're playing in here. So these are the two open strings. That's the E note and the A note. And then this is the on the first marker, 3rd fret, G note and C note. So if I'm playing something in C, this is going to be the root that I want to emphasize. So how did I end up in A minor? I'm just drawn to A minor. Here's the A minor. So I ended up on that one, and then it made it feel like A minor for a moment there. But that's it. And then now we're going to have the 5th of that. That's our G note. And the 5th of the A minor is our E note. Right, and we're going to take this out of here right now, this root and this 5th, so that we can replace it with the black marbles and see the shape as it is in here. So here is just two different ways of looking at it. Here you just see the long box highlighted in the snake. Here you see the root and the 5th of the snake as they appear on these strings here. But you always know that if you have the long box here, you're going to have the root of the major key here and the root of the minor key here. All right. So we can't keep working over here because I don't have a long enough board, but since this is the same thing as this, if we moved over here, we would be building the next shape over here. So let's do that. That's going to be the stomach. From the snake, before we get to the house, we have to move through the stomach, okay? So the stomach is going to keep this wall here, and we're going to remove these ones here, and we actually get the only place in the pentatonic system where there is a straight line. So the straight line could be the wall of the stomach. You know, the walls of the stomach are bleeding or whatever. You know, they talk about the walls of the stomach. And here is but it's also the wall of the house, right? So where is the long box here? Ooh, so nice. I mean, come on, how pronounced, how visible can it get? Right there. It's right smack in the middle of the shape. Okay? So here is our 1-5 here, but here is also our 1-5. We have these same colors right here. Right? So let's exchange these. Let's put this here and this here, and we'll put black marbles back to these ones. Because right now we really just want to focus on where all of this is inside of just where the long box is inside of each of these shapes. So I need a blue marble and a red marble. Blue for A and red for E. And then if we move over one more, we're back to the house again, right? So that's what I think is a really worthwhile exercise to do, is to see where in each of these shapes you're going to find the long house or the long box, and what is the role of each of these. Like this is the root of the major scale. This is the tonic of the major scale. This is the tonic of the minor scale. This is the 5th of the minor. This is the 5th of the major. So knowing that in each case, including in the cross where you have the warp, to be able to see that as the same thing is a huge step forward. I hope you get into this.